Epcot's newest attraction, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, has been open for a few weeks now. Today, I'm sharing my thoughts and opinions on the ride. What up, Opinioneers? Welcome to episode 120 of the WDW Opinion podcast. My name is Connor Brown, and I'm a former cast member, an author, blogger, travel agent, and a Walt Disney World expert. And my passion is to help you plan for and daydream about your next perfect Walt Disney World vacation. If you're a new listener here, welcome to the show. Feel free to go back and check out all of our old podcast episodes covering a wide variety of Disney-related topics. And you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. If you're a longtime listener, welcome back. Thanks for being here. If you continue to enjoy the show, please consider sharing it with a friend you think might enjoy it as well. If you're watching the show on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. Hope you like my Mickey shirt. He's a vampire because it's spooky season. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video, and like this video as well. If you do ever want to check out the video version of the show or any of the other videos we have been putting out, head over to youtube.com/WDW Opinion to check out the channel. One quick announcement. When this podcast comes out on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, that also happens to be the first day that Disney Genie Plus, Lightning Lane a la carte attractions, that's the first day all of those things are going live at Walt Disney World. I will be in the Magic Kingdom on that day, on that first day of Disney Genie, to test out Disney Genie. I'm going to buy Disney Genie Plus to see how that all works out. If you want to follow along on my adventure, if you want to hear how my experience with this new software, with these new tools is going, then be sure to be following me on Instagram at WDW Opinion. Again, at WDW Opinion on Instagram, instagram.com/WDW Opinion. I'm going to be posting stories throughout the day there, just kind of capturing my experience with these tools, how it's working. On the first day, I assume it's going to be very chaotic. I would assume a lot of bloggers and podcasters and vloggers like myself are going to be trying to utilize it. So what I want to do on the first day is really just get in, explore the app, get familiar with the wireframe, the infrastructure, use it as well, see how successful it is when I use it. But I'll be sharing everything, thoughts, opinions, all that jazz on it when I am in the park. So follow me at WDW Opinion. I'm going to be posting to the Instagram stories, on my feed, all that stuff. Plus, if you're not following me, well, I'm just a fun guy to follow on Instagram. So be sure to follow me regardless, at WDW Opinion. Future episode, I'm going to give my review of Disney Genie Plus, Disney Genie, my initial thoughts. But for now, follow me at WDW Opinion on Instagram. And that's where I'll be sharing all of my info as well. Alrighty. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure has been open in Epcot to the general public since October 1st of this year. I've been on it a few times now, and I'm ready to share my opinions on the attraction, and I'm ready to talk about the importance this attraction has on Epcot. Before we get to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, I think it's important to go all the way back to the 1960s. That's right, we are starting way, way, way back with this episode. And it's important to go back to that timeline because it's important to remember that Walt Disney, the man, he wanted to build his Florida project for two important reasons. The first reason was kind of I guess you could say a size sort of thing. He wanted a space he could fully control with plenty of land that would never be contested outside the parks. In Disneyland, he bought as much land as he could get money on, right? So whatever land he bought, that was the most amount of money he had ever bought anything of. That was all the money that he had. He put into that. He bought as much as he possibly could. Because of that, he wasn't able to buy any buffer land around Disneyland. So Harbor Boulevard quickly became filled with, motels, third-party stores, third-party businesses. Walt hated this. He hated it because a lot of those businesses were very seedy. He thought that they were just capitalizing on Disney's success, which they were. He didn't like that there was no buffer. It was the dirty, busy Harbor Boulevard and then Disneyland. He wanted a more grand entrance. He didn't want to be encumbered by the outside world, if you will. In Florida, he saw an opportunity to buy a lot of land, so much land that he would never run into that issue again. He could control how you entered the parks. He can control everything around it. He wanted that control. That was one of the big reasons he wanted to do his Florida project. But the second reason he wanted to build his Florida project was so that he could create what he called his experimental prototype community of tomorrow, Epcot for short. This was going to be a real working city, which I think people forget. It wasn't going to be a theme park. Walt's idea for Epcot was to be a real working city. In Florida, with his Florida project, he was always going to have a theme park aspect to it, but the thesis, the critical point, the main point of this project was Epcot, was this real working city. It was going to have citizens, it was going to have businesses, office buildings, schools, churches, infrastructure. But the big thing was big corporations from around the world Walt was going to invite in. They were going to come from all over. They were going to bring their team members. They were going to bring their employees, their executives. They would come into this city for a certain period of time. And they would get together with other companies that they might not partner with in the real world because they would see them as competition or they just wouldn't see a good relationship there. In Epcot, they would come together and they would solve problems. They would solve the problems that the modern day city was facing. This was Walt's grand idea. It was going to be almost like a technological World's Fair, right? Real working city, but then also bringing in these big corporations that could help solve problems and do it together, bringing everyone together. Walt Disney himself, he was the only person who could ever have thought of this idea in the first place, but also he was the only person who could have ever actually gotten it complete. His demeanor, his personality, his connections, who he was as a man, as a businessman, as a personality, he was the only person that could have actually gotten this done. So when he unexpectedly passed away, the Epcot portion of the Florida project, it got shelved. The Imagineers had no idea where to go with it. They couldn't get into Walt's head. There was no way. Eventually, when the Magic Kingdom was built, and thus Walt Disney World was opened, that idea of Epcot was brought back to the forefront of Imagineers' minds. The Epcot Walt intended, the Epcot Walt wanted, that could have never been built. And the Imagineers weren't even trying to build that because they knew, without him, we can't do this. Walt didn't leave a guidebook behind that said, this is how you're going to do Epcot. Because in a lot of ways, he probably didn't even know how he was going to get it done. He just knew he was going to get it done because he was Walt Disney. He didn't leave a guide behind. His ideas and his imagination were his and his alone. No matter who the Imagineers were, no matter who his employees were, no matter how close to the man they knew, Walt Disney. Their relationships might have been close, but they were not Walt Disney. They could not think like him. They could not get in his head. They had no idea what he was thinking with this. They were locked in his head, and no one was like Walt. These ideas were stuck in Walt's head for Epcot. His imagination, his ideas. That's how he was going to be able to build the park, through his intuition alone. So the Epcot that was created was not the Epcot that Walt wanted, that Walt intended. That's not to take away from the park. That's not to take away from the beauty and the imagination and the amazingness that is Epcot. Epcot is incredible. It's absolutely astounding. And what the Imagineers came up with this park that celebrates technology, celebrates the future of technology, while also at the same time celebrating the world cultures of today and combining those two elements together, it was an incredible idea. And because of that idea, it's why Epcot is one of the most unique parks ever created. And it still is to this day. I merely say that Epcot was not the Epcot intended because when it comes to changes being made to Epcot, so often I hear, well, this isn't what Walt would have wanted. He wouldn't have wanted this in his Epcot. Two things I say to that. One, you have no idea what Walt would have wanted. If the Imagineers didn't know how to create Epcot because they didn't have Walt, the men and women who were with him day by day building Disneyland, building the World's Fair's attractions, building other themed entertainment attractions, who knew him so well, if they didn't even know what he wanted, then how can you, over 50 years after he passed away, say this isn't what Walt wanted? You don't know. But at the same time, we also know that Walt's vision for Epcot was very different than what came to be. We don't know if he would have liked what ended up happening at Epcot or if he didn't like what ended up happening at Epcot. We only know that before he passed away, he had given an idea of what he wanted Epcot to be, and that idea was very different than the Epcot we got in reality. But that reason is always a reason people give for why things shouldn't change in Epcot. They think that the park that opened in October 1st of 1982, that was the park that Walt wanted, and that's simply just not true. Walt didn't even want a theme park, right? It's an excuse that keeps getting thrown around with each new addition to Epcot, especially with each addition of intellectual property. People get upset when Frozen, Remy, Guardians of the Galaxy, Moana, all these things get thrown into the park. They don't think these elements fit. For me, I'm fine with these elements. I like getting these elements added to Epcot. You know why? Because Epcot's a theme park. And Epcot's a theme park owned by Disney. When I go to a Disney-owned theme park, I love to see the character elements. And I love to have fun. These new things being added to Epcot, yeah, they increase the characters from Disney and Pixar films, and Marvel films even, but they also make Epcot more fun. There's still plenty to learn, and there's still plenty to explore whenever you go to visit Epcot. That's for sure. And I think there's also plenty of room for new, fun things to continuously be added to Epcot. When you think of Epcot from a family perspective, for years, Epcot was always hard to justify to a family. It was hard to justify because there wasn't a whole lot little kids could do. In the number one family vacation destination in the world, which is Walt Disney World, when you have a quarter of your theme parks that don't appeal to kids, that don't appeal to families with little kids, that's a lot. That's a big deal, especially when Disney wants to get those people into the theme parks as much as possible. If Epcot didn't appeal to kids, then they could easily write that off and say, well, we're just not going to go on Epcot on this trip. That's why I think these new elements coming to the park are so important. Yes, you can be upset that Epcot is going away from the edutainment aspect of things. This edutainment is what Epcot kind of launched with, education and entertainment, bringing those together. Those are the sorts of attractions we got. You can be upset that those sorts of elements are going away. Or, on the flip side, you could also say, you know what? I'm actually really excited for the enhancements that are coming to Epcot, because there's still opportunities to learn in Epcot, but now there are even more ways to be entertained there too. That brings us to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Since it is based in Paris, having it be in the France Pavilion, I think, is a no-brainer. And bringing a Disney character into the World Showcase, we've already crossed that bridge with Frozen Ever After. It wasn't a great bridge to cross. A lot of people were upset with that bridge being crossed, but we've crossed that bridge. The only difference is when Frozen Ever After was brought, it replaced an existing attraction. It replaced Maelstrom. Now, people will, of course, say, Maelstrom, that was a beloved attraction. Maybe you can say that, but the years leading up to it getting taken out of Epcot, the wait times in its final years, well, didn't make it seem like it was quite the beloved attraction. Didn't make it seem like it was beloved by many people. You can still miss it. It just wasn't as popular as when it first opened. On the flip side, too, is Frozen based in Norway? Not really. It's based in a made-up area, but whatever. Another point. Now, with Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, it wasn't replacing anything. It was an expansion to an already beautiful World Showcase pavilion in the France Pavilion. Of course, it still faced some unhappy opinions when it was announced, but for me, I don't understand what kind of world we live in when an announcement is made that a brand new state-of-the-art attraction is getting put into a theme park. Disney is investing millions and millions and millions of dollars into this new attraction. They're expanding an existing World Showcase pavilion. They're adding all of these additional elements, millions of dollars. It includes a Pixar character that people really like. And with all that good stuff, all that investment, hey, Disney's saying, hey, here's a nice new attraction for you. People still say, I don't want it. Patooey. I don't want it. Patooey, that was me spitting. Patooey. I'm going to stop. They didn't want it. What kind of world is that? That's like, spoiled little kid on Christmas. I got you a pony. I wanted 2 ponies. Get that one pony out of here. I want 2 ponies. You act so spoiled, you act so entitled when you say, no, I don't want this attraction. Forget it. Okay, whatever. Now it is an exact replica of the original version in Disneyland Paris, so there wasn't a whole lot of new work that had to be done, but it's still a huge investment and it's still very cool. I will get into my review of this, but first I just want to say my feelings on this attraction overall is that it is a solid attraction, but even more so, it's a very important attraction for Epcot. It's going to be great for families. It's going to be great for little kids. It's going to give them all another thing to do in that great park, which is very needed. I don't understand how people can be unhappy with others being happy with this new addition. Not my Epcot. That's not the Epcot I know. So be it. That might be unfortunate for you, but if you just base your one thing on you no longer like Epcot because of one attraction, that seems pretty sad to me. Because this attraction is going to make a lot of people happy. It's going to make a lot of families happy. And a lot of people are really, really going to love it. So I just want to kind of start with that by saying the Epcot that was created, we didn't know really what Walt wanted. That's what we got. It's an incredible park. It's going through changes. The changes might not be what it was originally intended to be. But when it first opened, it wasn't really what Walt actually had in mind. We don't know what he wanted to really truly create, but this place evolves. It evolves, it evolves, it evolves. Spaceship Earth is still going to be there, knock on wood. And it's still going to be Epcot. It's still going to be an experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Just might be a little different than the one you first went to. So, for the ride itself, I first got to experience this attraction before it opened to the general public. I was lucky enough to snag some annual pass holder previews, and they did a lot for this one. They did a lot for this attraction because it had been ready to go probably since, I want to say, when could it have opened? Easily at the beginning of this year, towards the beginning of this year. So it had been operating for a while behind the scenes, doing test runs quite efficiently. Disney just wanted to kind of hold on it because of COVID and things like that. So because of that, annual pass holder previews were easy to come by. They were plentiful. Ton of people got them, and they stretched a wide time period of when you could snag them. I got a couple of them for me and former guest of the show, Sue Brown. And the process to get in was super, super simple. Basically, you just went to the back of the pavilion where the new Remy's Ratatouille Adventure sign is, and the sign is like a metro stop from Paris. You see all those all over Paris. You would go there. You show the cast member your ticket, which has your annual pass holder previewed reservation on it. They scanned it, and you got to go in. And your reservation was for an hour, but you could stay as long as you wanted. They weren't kicking anyone out. You could mingle around, do whatever you wanted for as long as you want. You could ride the attraction as much as you wanted as well. And that time was great because being back there in the new section of the France Pavilion and getting to explore it, it was awesome. And there weren't too many people in there because since you had to have a reservation, it of course was capped. So it was great to explore that area where you didn't feel like, you were stuck in a school of fish, swimming, against the tide, against the current, whatever it was. Getting to explore the area like that, I loved it. I loved it. In the first year or so, I know just being able to get back there is going to be difficult because there's going to be so many people trying to get on the attraction, trying to try the new restaurant, trying to look at the new merch, whatever it is. There's going to be a ton of people in there. So I really, really appreciated how pass holders were able to get in there and check it out before the madness started. I tried to absorb as much as the atmosphere, as much of the details as possible. And I really, really, really like it. And I think that area is very well done. This new sort of expansion. A lot of the times, if you think about a new attraction, we don't necessarily always get a new sort of section to explore as well. With this one, we did. It wasn't taking over an existing location. It was adding another addition to it. And on top of that, it was also adding a new sort of area that you get to explore as well. It's like a bonus attraction. The details are there. The details that Imagineering does, we know and love them. And they're there. They're present. They delivered on this right in front of the attraction. Big fountain. I love a fountain. I love me a good fountain. I'm a fountain guy. Gaston's fountain, New Fantasyland. Miss Piggy's fountain outside of Muppets Vision 3D. The fountains throughout the hub in Magic Kingdom. Great. Love them. Love fountains. And now we got this bad boy. This one's very cool, very well done. Really cool at nighttime. Very cool at nighttime with the lights. Great for picture taking. If you get up close, try to get as close as you can because you might be able to see some fun little details and just where the water's coming out of, the characters involved with it. I just like it. It's a very, very nice touch for sure. But there's also other new additions to this pavilion, like La Crêperie de Paris. This is a unique setup I'm trying to think, I feel like the only other place in Walt Disney World that has, there's a couple in Disney Springs, but for the most part, Animal Kingdom, Yak and Yeti. Yak and Yeti has a sit-down restaurant, and they have a quick service restaurant. La Crêperie de Paris is set up the same way. It's got this crepe restaurant that you can go in, sit down at, and it's got a quick service counter portion to it as well. Crêpes à emporter by La Crêpe de la Rue de Paris. That's actually the full name, and that was perfect French, by the way. If anyone from France is listening, they're like, whoa, I didn't know Connor spoke perfect French, but I do. That's actually the full name of the quick service location. Crêpes à emporter by La Crêperie de Paris. And that is not an offensive accent as well. That is a spot on French je ne sais quoi accent. God almighty. I tried one of their crepes from the quick service location. It was great. It was awesome. We just went with the butter and sugar crepe. So nice little sweet crepe. It's almost like cinnamon sugar too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, when you're a kid, you have toast. Your mom made you toast, put butter on it and cinnamon sugar. Ooh, love it. That's kind of what it was like in crepe form. Some whipped cream it had on it. But for $6, it was a great sized snack for the price for being in a theme park. And they make the crepes right there. So when you compare it to like a $6 Mickey pretzel, do I love a Mickey pretzel? Absolutely. It's great. But you can see the crepes being made right there. Mickey pretzel, God only knows when that thing was actually made and then wheeled out to the pretzel cart. So for $6, I feel like this is a very, very great deal. They also have other crepes. Now, crepes are sweet. Galettes use the same, I was going to say technology that a crepe uses, the same method of transportation as a crepe, but galettes are savory. So at this quick service location, their other sweet crepes are the red berry crepe, hazelnut and chocolate spread. That's Nutella. Hazelnut and chocolate spread is Nutella. Disney just can't say Nutella because it's trademarked, and they don't have a partnership with Nutella. Hazelnut and chocolate spread crepe, vanilla or chocolate ice cream crepe, and then they also have the galettes. So the savory crepes, the galettes, cream of brie. They have a ratatouille one. Of course they do. They have a bechamel, cheese and ham galette. I liked it. It was fun. It was fun to eat. Very Epcot-like food to eat. I also thought it was very funny because we get this crepe and then we get this massive Diet Coke fountain soda. Like the biggest Diet Coke I've ever seen in my life. Like a large movie theater style Diet Coke. It was just funny seeing the juxtaposition, like the contrasting elements of the crepe we ordered and the big Diet Coke. It's basically how an American would enjoy a crepe, red, white, and blue. Freedom, let freedom reign. I'll eat your crepe, give me a Diet Cola to wash it down with. The sit-down restaurant portion is more crepes like that. They have other crepes. They have other galettes, some other things. They even have a prefix menu where you can get, for $33, you get a soup or a salad to start. Then you get a galette, so a savory crepe, and then you get a sweet crepe. And your galette is served with like a soda or a tea or a coffee, or you can pick a cider, which is alcohol. So I feel like that's a pretty good deal. But you can also order a la carte, which is French for by the cart. And I will definitely be trying the sit-down portion of this restaurant sometime very, very soon. Hey there, I just wanted to take a quick break and mention a sponsor of the show we have today. And the sponsor is actually a complete shameless plug because we're talking about my travel agent services. If you've been listening to this show for a while, you probably know just how difficult it is these days to plan a great trip to Walt Disney World. Even in the past few years, since the WDW Opinion podcast has started, it's only really become more confusing to get to Walt Disney World. Things like knowing when to book, knowing how to book and what to book, how to navigate around the parks with so many new additions, or even how to navigate all of the new technology you have to know about on your Walt Disney World vacation. It can all be challenging. Whether it's understanding the new Disney Genie service, or what Magic Mobile service is, or how to book park pass reservations and why all of these new reservation systems are in place, it can seem like you practically need a master's degree in Disney to understand it all. Well, that's where your boy Connor comes in to play. Because as a Disney fanatic, I know Walt Disney World like the back of my hand. As a travel agent that specializes in Disney vacations, I participate in regular training that not only lets me know about the new things going on at Walt Disney World, but it also keeps me up to date with the vacation package offers, the deals, the specials that are currently going on. And I'm really able to stay in the loop because of my training as a Disney travel agent. And as a former Walt Disney World cast members, I have the behind-the-scenes expertise that I can share with you to help you navigate the parks like a pro. All these elements combined, me being a Disney fanatic, me being a Disney travel agent, me being a former Walt Disney World cast member, combine them all, and that makes me the perfect fit to help you when it comes to booking your next perfect Disney vacation. I do the boring stuff, like finding deals, booking the trip, waiting on hold with Disney for hours on the phone, waking up super early to get those must-do dining reservations and special event tickets. I do that all so you don't have to. Let me do this for you so that you can focus on the most important part of a Disney vacation, and that's having fun. You have the fun, I do the lame stuff to ensure you have an even better time. And guess what, Opinioneers? The best part about this service? It's 100% free to use. You don't have to pay a dime to utilize my expertise. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and in fact, it can even help you save money because I am constantly looking for the best offers and the best deals that fit you and your family perfectly. But listen, don't just take my word for it. Hear from clients who have already utilized my services, like David M. from Maryland, who says, when it comes to mapping out what would be the best each day, what restaurants would be open or closed, what the flow would be like in the parks each day based on what was open, which even was changing when we arrived, Connor was always on point and had anticipated our needs. You should really take the time to invest in Connor's services. You won't be disappointed. Thank you, David, for that kind review. And if you are ready to book your next trip, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney, reach out to me at Connor, C-O-N-O-R, at WDWOpinion.com, and I can help you with all of that. That is Connor, C-O-N-O-R, at WDWOpinion.com. Again, Connor, C-O-N-O-R, at WDWOpinion.com, and I can help you plan your next perfect Disney vacation with this free-to-use service. You'd also be helping out the show a lot if you chose me for these services. Again, Connor, C-O-N-O-R, at WDWOpinion.com. Send an email over to me. I'd love to help. Now, let's get back to the show. I'll comment quickly on the merch that's available in this area. When you walk into this new section of the France Pavilion, right on the left, there's this new merch cart, and it's pretty much exclusively Remy's Ratatouille Adventure merch. They have a chef's hat, which you put on your head, and it lights up, and it casts like a shadow, a silhouette of Remy on the hat, and it looks like Remy's pulling your hair, like just in the movie, like how he's controlling you to cook correctly. And then also little Remy pops up out of the top, right? And then they also have this little Remy that attaches to your shirt and attaches to your shirt through magnets. So like you put the little Remy on the outside of your shirt, then underneath your shirt, you snap a magnet to it and you have a remote control and it like scurries all over your clothes and your body. Creepy, weird, very cool. I feel like with Disney merch, Disney nowadays just thinks, let's make it as crazy as possible. Let's push the boundaries as much as humanly possible, and let's see what happens. I imagine an executive saying, let me get this straight. You want to create a rat that runs around people's shirts, and you want people to buy it. Yep, that thing's never going to sell. Flash forward to when they put it on the shelves. We can't keep these things in the carts. We're selling them like hotcakes. It's almost like if you make it, they're going to buy it. Like that's the approach Disney has, and good for them. Good for them. There's also some like exclusive, I don't know if exclusive, but World Gateway, those two stores right in the front of World Showcase, if you're coming from Future World, they have some like t-shirts and other little merch and tchotchkes about Remy's Ratatouille Adventure that you can buy there. In addition to that little cart that you get to right when you enter the new section of the park or the pavilion. All right. Let's get to the ride itself, shall we? Right now, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is utilizing a virtual queue. So if you have a park pass reservation for Epcot, you can attempt to get a virtual queue starting at 7 a.m. Let's dive into my tips for how to get a virtual queue reservation for this attraction. My tips. First tip is the night before you're gonna go to Epcot, log into your My Disney Experience account and make sure you have a park pass reservation for the next day for Epcot. Always good to double check. And then on top of that, also make sure that you're connected with all the accounts you will be making a virtual queued reservation for. So if you are going to the park the next day with your family, I would assume you are already all connected to them. If you're going with friends, make sure you're connected to their accounts as well. And you'll be able to see that in the My Friends and Family section of your My Disney Experience. When it comes to getting a virtual queue, if you are in your family or a group of friends, one person should be designated to try to get this. It's really, you have one shot and that's it. That way the system won't be confused by kind of two competing varieties of saying, well, that's the same person over here is trying to get for the same people as this person. They're competing against each other. Who do we go to first? Just make it easy on the system. Designate one person to try to get the virtual queue, and then they can try to get it. Plus, if you designate just one person and they don't get it, then you can blame them and yell at them for the rest of the day. It's called a scapegoat, people. Look it up. So make sure you're connected to all the accounts that you're going to be making the virtual queue for. When you wake up bright and early the next morning, about 5 minutes before 7 a.m., log out of the My Disney Experience app on your phone. In order to get a virtual queue reservation, you have to have the My Disney Experience app on your smartphone. You can't do this. You can't request a virtual queue reservation on the web-based website. You can't do it on My Disney Experience. It has to be on the app. So make sure it's downloaded 5 minutes before 7 a.m. on the day of when you're going to try to get the reservation. Log out of it, then log back in just to reset the system to make sure you're all logged in, nice and neat and ready to roll. Okay. 5 minutes before 7 a.m. Again. You've re-logged in. Go to the bottom right button on the app in the bottom right corner, and there's the 3 stacked lines. You're going to click that. Click it, then click Virtual Queues, and then select Join Virtual Queue. You will then see a button that says Confirm Your Party. Click that, and a list of your family and friends who have an Epcot Park Pass reservation that day will come up. If you're trying to book a reservation for all of them, great. You've confirmed your party. No big deal. If there's some of them who are on that list who you're not trying to get a Park Pass or a virtual queue reservation for, you can click Change Party, go in, remove the individuals you don't want on that list. That just makes it easier. But if the list looks all good, you don't have to do anything else. But that's very important to do because when 7 a.m. rolls around, you want to make sure that was already good to go. You don't have to do it. Once that's good, once you've confirmed your party, close the app. And I mean fully close it. Swipe it away if you're on an iPhone. If you're on an Android, you're on your own. You made a decision to kind of try to be a contrarian and purchase an Android phone, and now you have to deal with your consequences. It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate decision you've made with your life, but you're going to have to do that. If you're on an iPhone, swipe it away, baby. Easy as pie. Easy as pie. Once you've closed it, 2 big tips are to test your Wi-Fi connection and compare it to your data connection when it comes to the internet. Whichever one is running faster for you that morning, go with that one. Go with whatever one is faster than that. That's your first tip. Second tip is if you can get another phone or smart device or whatever, pull up the clock app, pull up the world clock, have it right next to your thing. You can do it on your Apple Watch as well. That way you have one device that's looking at the hour, minute, and second so that you can see when you're getting close as humanly possible to 7 a.m. You don't have to keep going back and forth through different apps on one phone. You can keep the My Disney Experience app up on one phone, look at your other device, and make sure the time's all right. Bonus points if you use the U.S. Naval Observatory clock for accuracy. So about 45 seconds before 7, open the My Disney Experience app on your phone. Click the button in the bottom right. Then virtual queues, then join virtual queues like you did before. Confirm your party again and again. You've already confirmed it, so you don't have to do anything. Every few seconds, just keep pulling down on that page to refresh it. Look at your other device, and once the clock hits 7 on the dot, pull that page down again to refresh. Click the Join Virtual Queue button as soon as you see it, and presto. That's it. It's literally pull it down at 7 a.m., hit the Join Virtual Queue button, boom. If you do it quick enough, you should be able to get a virtual queue. But making sure you have the right people connected the night before, then that morning, making sure your internet connection is good, your party includes the right people, and that you have a separate clock to watch the time. All of those little tips will help you hopefully have a better chance at getting a virtual queue. If you didn't get it, you can try the same exact process around 1 p.m. in Epcot. That's based on if they have more virtual queue reservations to give out. So it's not always guaranteed, but they'll let you know if it's going to reopen at 1 o'clock. If it does reopen at 1 o'clock, try the same process again. Just keep in mind for the 1 p.m. try, you have to be in Epcot to attempt it. You have to be in the theme park to attempt it. But for the 7 a.m. one, since the park isn't open, you can be wherever. So just do it from your hotel room. All right. There you go. You've got the virtual queue. Smashing the ride. There might be some spoilers here. So if you don't want to hear them, I guess just skip the rest of this episode. It was nice knowing you. But I'm going to try to be as, what's the opposite of detail oriented? Undetail oriented as possible. I don't want to spoil too much, and I don't think I will, but I just want to talk about some elements that might include partial spoilers. So, like any good attraction, we start with the queue. The queue is a little confusing for me, and I might be missing something, but the building that you enter through, there's a ticket booth. And the ticket booth looks like you're entering a movie theater. Now, the facade of the building is Gusteau's, the restaurant from Ratatouille. There's the big sign at the top. Gusteau is on there. It's what you see in the movie, and the facade is exactly the same from the movie. So it looks like you're entering the restaurant. But as you get closer, there's that ticket booth, and then it feels like you're entering a movie theater. Again, I might be missing something. I don't know. That, for me, just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe it's not a ticket booth, but it looks pretty darn close to what that is. Whatever. That's the first thing. When you get in, the wallpaper, it gives me a little Haunted Mansion wallpaper vibe. It's intricate like that. It's nicely colored. It's not purple, it's red. But it gives me some Haunted Mansion wallpaper vibes. And if you look closely at this wallpaper, you might see some little friends in the patterns as well. There is one very cool section of the queue where it appears like you're on top of the building itself. You're on top of the building in Paris. And you can hear the cars and the commotion and the people talking below you and to the sides of you where the other buildings are. I swear, when you're up there, there's a breeze you can feel. I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks on me or whatever, but maybe it's just feeling like you're very immersed in this area because it definitely feels like you're on top of the roof or something. I might just be going crazy. There's no actual breeze. It was just an AC unit, but it still felt like that. So I think it was kind of cool. But it appears like you're on the roof of Gusteau's, what you just saw, the building you just saw. And because you're looking right at the sign of the restaurant, it definitely feels like you're on top of the building. Gusteau's sign is right in front of you now. You have like steam pipes like from furnaces or whatever around you and skylights and stuff like that. So you're definitely on top of the roof of the building that is Gusteau's. If the line is moving quickly, be sure to hang back a little, let people go in front of you, because something cool happens to the Gusteau's sign. And that is, spoiler alert, it comes to life. And Gusteau might have a message for you with that. So be sure to check that out if the line is moving quickly. Hang back, watch it. The tech is very cool that they do for this. It's a little hard to tell how it's being done. I mean, once you see it, you know how it's being done. But it's cool how well they were able to hide it. It can fool you, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty good. What you also notice is that as you go through the queue, you become the size of a rat now. And it really seems that way, especially when you board your vehicle. The vehicles are all, of course, rats. And, I've always thought of this. The rats in the movie seem so much more like mice. I don't mean like Mickey Mouse. I mean like the size of them, how they fit in your palm. I don't know. When I think of a rat, I think of something gnarly, right? Something big. Pizza rat, subway rat, New York City, those sorts of things. When I see these characters in Ratatouille, I don't think they're rats. They look like mice. But whatever. They're, of course, rats. That's the name of the movie. The vehicles, they're rats. And here, it appears like you're still on the rooftops of Paris as well. You notice the size. The windows next to you are massive. The objects and the shadows that appear in the windows are also huge. You get into your little Ratmobile. That's what they should call it. Ratmobile. Like Batmobile, but Ratmobile. I got to trademark that and then sue Disney. Once I put that idea in their head, I'll probably lose. The cool part about these ride vehicles is that they are trackless. So it's pretty much exactly like Rise of the Resistance, or even better, like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, right? Because they're trackless, you never know the route of your particular vehicle, where it's going to go, where it's going to take you through the ride. So They send off 3 cars at once. 3 Ratmobiles are in a group. And at one point, you could be in the lead of the other vehicles. At another point, you could be in the back. It's constantly moving like that, but because of that, it adds a re-ride ability to it. And that's important because there are a good amount of details in this attraction. And depending upon where your Ratmobile is, in terms of all that, you could see different details than what you saw before. And additionally, where you sit in the Ratmobile can help you see other details as well. If you're in the front of like, for example, if you come to one scene and you're in the Ratmobile on the right side, well, if you go to that scene the next time and you're in the Ratmobile to the left side, you could see different details. You don't get to determine where each Ratmobile goes. It just kind of happens what it happens, but that really enhances the reroutability. You can see different things on this side versus on this side and vice versa. So that's cool. What's interesting is that they went with each Ratmobile has 2 rows of 3. And the rows are like individual seats. It's not a full bench seat. It's like that one where it's 1 seat, 2 seat, 3 seats. One big piece, but there's the scoop in the middle. So you try to have to fit in between that. I don't know why they wouldn't have just made it like one flat bench seat and said, fit 3 across if you can. It's very interesting to me, and 6 is always a weird number for this, like you see with Test Track. They do single rider there because a lot of the times it's a family of 4, or we need 2 single riders. Oh, 2 people and 2 people, all right, we need 2 single riders. Family of 5, we need a single rider. They can't do that here because I don't know where you would fit in the single rider line. It doesn't really make too much sense, but I don't know. We'll see. That was interesting for me. Yeah. The story itself, the story of the attraction, the story that the attraction takes you through, it's just kind of like a retelling of the movie. And again, it's a direct copy of the Remy ride out in Disneyland, Paris. I like that a lot of the scenes... I like a lot of the scenes, and I like the fact that there are different elements throughout each of the scenes. Like, they combine a bunch of elements. It's very screen-based, so you wear 3D glasses, but in certain scenes there are huge props, like purpose-built props. I love the fridge/freezer scene. That's the first time I feel like you really feel how small you actually are in the attraction itself. You definitely feel like you're the size of a rat. But there's other elements. There are smells and wind and water effects. There's heat effects too, like temperature effects. One of my favorite details is that when you are in the scenes where it seems like you're on a cart rolling through the restaurant, look to your right and look to your left. You'll see wheels. And you realize, oh, those are the wheels of the cart. And they're props. They're purpose-built props. But as the cart is moving on the screen, and it feels like you're moving, if you look to the right and left, the wheels are spinning. So it's actually symbolizing like you're actually on the cart. You're actually moving on the cart. And I think that element of taking the screen with the motion of your Ratmobile versus and adding the props on the sides of you spinning as well, all of those come together just to make you more immersed in this scene. And I think that's really, really interesting how they do it. The elements all come together very well, and I love that there are different effects. That being said, I think my biggest con with this attraction overall is that there are just too many screens. 3D screens, like I said, with 3D glasses, and I might have missed something where they explained the 3D glasses and stuff, but there's a truck backing up, and it seems like it's backing up for miles and miles and miles. And if you don't believe me, you're in denial. They might have mentioned this at one point, but I feel like in a lot of 3D attractions, 3D movies at Disney World, they do a great job of explaining why you need to put these 3D glasses on. And it's tough to be a bug. These are your bug glasses. This is how you're going to see bugs. Oh, okay. In Mickey's PhilharMagic, these are your opera glasses. Oh, that makes sense. In Uh, uh, I can't remember any of the other ones, but this one was just like, just put the glasses on. You got to put the glasses on. I would like something a little more fun, if you will, a little more to the story. I feel like they missed the point there, but whatever. The big issue with this attraction is that the attraction we got right before Remy's Ratatouille Adventure was Rise of the Resistance. We should not compare the two. But at the same time, how can you not compare the two, right? We're going to be comparing every attraction for the rest of time to Rise of the Resistance. Rise of the Resistance, greatest theme park attraction ever created. When I say greatest, I mean the most advanced, the most, oh my God, what did I just get myself into sort of experience. And every attraction that comes after it, that comes subsequently, we're going to be comparing to it. The original Remy iteration in Disneyland Paris, the technology that was created for that ride, it totally helped in the creation of Rise. And the first time that they were using that kind of creation, they were using it in Remy, it helped lead the way for Rise. What we have today with Rise of the Resistance would not be if it were not for Remy's out in Disneyland Paris, that's for sure. Since the Epcot version is a clone of the Disneyland Paris version, it can seem a little dated, especially when you compare it to Rise of the Resistance, or even when you compare it to Flight of Passage. There were times, like the sewer scene in Remy's, where I felt a little motion sickness. And I've never experienced that motion sickness on Flight of Passage or on Rise of the Resistance. So that's why I think when I say it relies a little bit too much on screens, that's where I'm coming from. I think if there were additional scenes that relied more on props and the vehicles could move a little more around them, I think that would really, really, really elevate this attraction. But again, not everything can be Rise of the Resistance. If every attraction was like that, Disney would be bankrupt. A better comparison, I think, would be to compare Remy, Ratatouille Adventure to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But even with that, I would put Runaway Railway above Remy's as well. Again, I like Remy's. It's not a blow-you-away sort of attraction, at least for me. With Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I liked the different elements. I liked the story. I liked the vehicles, the songs, things like that. Where with Remy, it needed a few other elements. Again, at least for me. That being said, if this is your first time to Disney, that attraction is totally going to blow you away. It's the same sort of thing I was just talking about with a couple episodes back about the Beacon of Magic on Tower of Terror and how me and some friends were like, huh, that's nice. It's because we're spoiled. It's because we've seen too many things like that before. If someone's going for the first time, they'd be like, wow, that's incredible. And they'd probably feel that way about Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. If you're a first-timer to Disney or you haven't been in the past 10 years, in a perfect world, I think you should experience Remy's Ratatouille Adventure first, then go on Flight of Passage, then go on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and then go on Rise of the Resistance, because I think that's a good build-up. If Rise of the Resistance is your first attraction you experience, I get how the others that you might experience in the subsequent days can be a little bit of a letdown. But for what it is, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is a great attraction. It serves its purpose well. It's going to be great for families. And with that big of an attraction in the park, in Epcot, it will also help keep wait times down for the other attractions. One final detail, when you get off the ride, when you go to put your 3D glasses back, look and see how large the tiles on the floor are. They're huge. As you turn the corner from where you've deposited your 3D glasses back, the tiles get much smaller. This signifies that you're no longer a rat and you've transformed back into a human in human size as you head out into the human world of Epcot. So the tiles look normal size at the end versus when you immediately get off the ride, they're huge because you're still a rat and the tiles seem massive in size. So again, cool attraction, cool details. That little one at the very end I think is worth mentioning. Overall, it's a solid addition to Epcot. It's an important addition to Epcot. It's an important addition to Epcot for where Epcot is going. It's not going to kill Epcot. It's making Epcot more fun, more accessible to more groups of people. There you go. My review of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Epcot. I hope you get to experience this attraction sometime soon. If you have recently experienced Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, I want to hear your thoughts on the attraction. Head over to WDWopinion.com/opinioneers. That's OPINIONEERS. That's the WDW Opinioneers Facebook group. That's where you can connect with your fellow Disney fanatics 24/7. And that's the best place to start conversations. So go there, WDWopinion.com/OPINIONEERS. Share your thoughts on Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. I'd love to hear it. And as a reminder, be sure to follow me on Instagram at WDW Opinion because I will be testing out Disney Genie, Disney Genie Plus, and all those offerings and sharing them on my Instagram stories in my Instagram feed. So follow me at WDW Opinion. If you enjoyed today's episode and you're on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button. Leave a comment. Let me know you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon. All that jazz. For those people listening on Apple, please be sure to subscribe and rate and review the show on there. And I'll be sure to read future reviews of the show as well. If you listen on Spotify, please click the follow button on the show page as that will help us out too. If you like the show, be sure to share it with your Disney World loving friends as well. That would be awesome if you could do that. And if you're ready to book a vacation to Walt Disney World, I would love to help you plan that. As a travel agent, I can help you find the best deals, answer any questions you have, be an advocate for you, someone you can turn to for advice. And the best part about this is my service is 100% free to use. It doesn't cost you a dime. Reach out to me at Connor, CONOR, at WDWopinion.com, and I can help you book a trip. And of course, if there is ever anything I could ever do to help you, I'd be more than happy to try and do so. Just reach out to me at Connor, CONOR, at WDWopinion.com. If you have any questions or if you need anything at all, I'd love to hear from you. That's going to do it for me this week. If you liked what you heard today, then you've been listening to the WDW Opinion Podcast. If by chance you didn't like what you heard, then you've been listening to Story Time with Seth Rogen. I've been Connor Brown, and until next time, keep LTD living the dream, and I'll see ya real soon.